All right, welcome back. We're moving on to more conversations. We're looking at Nigeria's educational system and the federal government's planned scrapping of the Jss-Sss model. And our guest is Oji Mano, who is the president, Association of Formidable Educators, AFED location. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning, Silverbird. Good morning, Nigeria.
Yes, so when we heard the news of the federal government looking to scrap Jss-Sss, it was mixed with a lot of reactions. Some people were not really certain if this was the right step in the right direction. But what they're saying and what the Minister of Education is saying, that they're going to make it a one straight road, meaning to say that there will be a straight path from JSS to SSS. It's still under construction, not really out there, but allegedly these are the plans. Some of the questions, first question is this the right step in the right direction? Because what we're fundamentally dealing is just some root cause, because what they're saying is that this year has recorded the highest level of dropouts of school children. There's so many factors that are attributing or could be a cause. Yes, the educational system and structure in Nigeria is poor, but let me first start with that. Is this the right step in the right direction? I know that when they come out with policies and propose policies like that, you want to question if maybe thinking caps are working. But yes, that's my first question to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Nigerian education generally is said to be undergoing some changes. And those changes are fundamental. And if actually we must align ourselves with the global competitors, the basic truth is what is happening now ought to have happened long ago. But notwithstanding, what the minister is actually doing now, I tell you clearly, is the right step in the right direction. And I can give you reasons. Like when you mentioned earlier, thank God you were able to correct that statement. Yeah. It was not scrapping up. But people are misunderstanding the ideas and the steps that the federal government, especially through the Minister for Education, is taking towards ensuring learners' retention in school. And of course, there is a thin line, whether we like it or not. For some of us, we consider it imaginary, those of us in the private sector, because we are still running a full-fledged secondary school of 6 years. But however, because of the pronouncement made some time ago that the junior secondary must be separated from senior secondary school, that constituted a serious barrier that some children find it difficult to move from the junior secondary to the senior secondary. And of course, why that came as a pronouncement and also the implementation following, the various schools or the various governments in different states had to actually delineate school property that existed. In some quarters, the ones we have in the senior secondary are lying fallow. Why there are no spaces in the junior secondary school? So I think for me, it's the right step in the right direction.
Just also, do you think that linking this, is it a good way, or should you link it to the high dropout rates? Because what they're saying is that 80,000 public primary schools or only 15,000 junior secondary schools are creating, but you said bottleneck. So are these some of the factors that you say are contributing to why this is now the way forward?
Yes, for every nation that actually want to develop, you must be serious with your education system. And so the government have been monitoring, there are data everywhere. So they've been following empirically evidences that are lying there. What are the success rate of those who were enrolled into the junior secondary school? Of course, revelation has it that some of these children eventually, after JSS3, will drop out and do not proceed to, with that gap, we have recorded over 20 million of such children who could not continue as a result of that. And I think government is not doing anything out of place to consider that as a serious issue.
It doesn't make much sense to me, personally, and I will tell you why. You have the primary education, you have the secondary education, which of course, as we know, has been the case since the 80s, GSS and SSS. Essentially, our system is 6, 3, 3, 4, yes. The 4 being tertiary. Yeah. Now, if one of the reasons given is that people drop out of school after they're done with their junior secondary certificate examination and are unable to continue to senior secondary, what's the guarantee that, one, they would not, drop out halfway through or 2/3 of the way through when it's eventually, amalgamated, so to speak. Then again, you had sometime in the past a lot of folks dropping out after standard 6 or form 6 as the case may be, not being able to proceed into what we have now as junior secondary. So that subset of individuals exist. So again, my question is, and because I said earlier, it doesn't make much sense to me, so hopefully you will be able to expatiate and shed more light. So what is the guarantee that if you have this amalgamation or this merging, you will still not have people dropping out? Because people drop out for a lot of reasons. There's the financial reason. There's, if you like, situational or circumstantial reasons where a member of the family passes or something of the sort. Life happens generally. And then, you know, there's some sort of internal disorganization and a lot of things don't continue as they were. So please help me make some sense of it.
Okay, I played around the education system for over 2 decades now. So I have vast experience in that area. And of course, some people will say if we were to be in the military, my rank should be towards that of general. So the basic truth remains that, like I said earlier, there is no one straitjacket policy that actually can address all the myriad of problems in the education sector. But however, attempt must be made, and currently the administration is making attempt towards answering some questions that the education system is asking. Let me take, for instance, what you said. When Obasanjo came in, he saw that the primary 6 certificate alone was no longer enough. He launched the UBEC, the UBE, for 9 years compulsory education. Considering also the number of dropouts we have had as a result of the barricade between that happens transiting from primary 6 to Jss-Sss. So he said there should be a free transition from primary 6. Of course, that does not call for any examination. Just use their continuous assessment to consider whether they were good enough to move to the next class, which is Jss. And of course, these were considerations that were made in utmost good faith. And it has worked all the while. But however, things are evolving, things are changing. Along the line, you will recall that when you were in secondary school, there was nothing like a separated school of Jss from Ss. Yes. That's where we are going back to. Because eventually when government made up, because like I said, things are evolving, as things are evolving, government keep making steps and taking decisions that will actually reflect the realities as they were then. But as I speak to you now, the reality as it is now, because of that artificial demarcation between Jss and Ss is causing us a lot of problems. So I think for me, like you say, it didn't make too much sense to you, but I want you to realize where we are coming from. The basic truth is that it was better then till now. But however, it does not still change our 633 system.
Okay, so I want to ask, are we just nipping a bit of the issues and just giving it a light treatment as opposed to really the solid treatment of the curriculum, or maybe for policy formations? Because what we've seen compared to international standards of education is Nigeria is falling behind in education. So I'm just looking at, okay, this now merger, whenever they decide to do it, don't you think that there's a need to actually rejig the structure of our educational architecture? I'm just looking at the curriculum and maybe some of policy formulation and just the way they learn, the way young people are learning now. You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm just looking, as opposed to just making it a long stretch, because that might make it even more hazardous for them. Yeah, you want to elongate it, you want to break it, they're still going to learn the same thing.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm...
don't worry, I'll get your point. The basic truth is that some revolution is gradually taking place in the education sector. This minister, I'm not holding brief for him, but the basic truth is that for the first time, a minister came into office and started looking for people like us. The data of what we've been doing have been out there over the years. Rather, we were the one looking for the ministers. We know how many times we go try booking appointments. But this minister reached out to us. Where are you? We know the role you're playing. We have over 5 million children in your kind of schools. So we need to come to the table to discuss on how we can further actually work on education or make education sector to work in Nigeria. Yes, that's by the way. The basic truth is that as soon as he came into office, one of the things he tampered with was the curriculum. But I know it's a work in progress. It is not perfect yet. But the truth is that if you had taken a curriculum about 3 years ago and go through to learn, see what people in primary 6 or primary 3 were learning, primary 4 were learning, you ask yourself, are these children, are they in the kindergarten? That was our document. But all of that, he had to call NRDC, come to, please, We can't continue with this. If we're actually serious with our education, if we're actually serious with our manpower development, and a lot of work, though some of the things were not actually outrightly removed. The bet, however, some has been rejigged, and we believe that is the right step in the right direction.
All right, talk to us about how this would, play out for private school owners. I imagine, let me personalize this. If I were a private school owner and I've tailored my institution toward what we have that exists right now, GSS, SSS, and so on and so forth. I know that both resources, when I say resources, I'm talking in terms of human resources, capital resources, and so on and so forth. This is my existing model. This is what I know, and this is what I have planned for. Now, with this change, what happens to my plan? I imagine, and I stand corrected, that it will be a lot easier for the government schools, the state schools, and so on and so forth, to easily implement this because it's coming from, the authorities, as you were. But a private business, I have a plan based on what is existing. How exactly am I going to, work my way around this system, which I already know, which my staffing addresses, which my structure addresses, which my philosophy addresses? Can you
and also to add to that, sorry, but how would it also affect the students because they know they're in Jss? Are they going to be?
The truth is that, like I told you, is a very artificial demarcation. In most private schools, it does not even exist. So it is not. It was a pronouncement made.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said in most private schools.
Yes, the demarcation, as we are talking about it, does not actually exist at Jss-Sss.
So you're saying that in private schools, as we know it, you have what they're proposing right now.
Oh yes,
some of I have not seen any.
Oh
have
yes,
you seen
I
any?
haven't seen anything.
No. I own a private school and I own a secondary school. Right. I have Jss-1, Jss-2, Jss-3, SS1, SS2. It is those children who move from SS1, Jss-3 that go to SS1. And that's been the method of before now. It was just because government wanted to achieve certain aim in our collective educational objective, which says that a basic 9 years basic education, and after which a child who is inclined to technical education can proceed from that point. The other ones who can go over to grammar school can move on.
So what you're saying, so just to get more clarity, is that all that Jss-1, Jss-2, SS1 that we have is just a temporary artificial measure. In reality, it is still the same thing.
It's still the same thing.
It's just that we gave it a name.
But because of progress, because of transition, in some schools, especially in public schools, it became an issue. For a child who is, for instance, a school bearing the same name, junior grammar school, a child moving from JSS-3 of that school to SS1 of that school sometimes become very difficult. So on that note, I think government is actually thinking around that area, feeling that let's remove this artificial boundary, allow free transition, so that any school that has children in JSS-3 should ensure that those children move into.
So are you going to remove Jss? We have junior schools. Yeah. Are you going to remove the junior schools or just make it schools?
No, we forget. I don't know the school you attended.
I went to a federal school.
Yeah, so because you're looking very young to what we're talking about, but I know about 15 years, 10 years ago.
I was
So I know about 10 years ago, this thing we're talking about, some states could not even implement it when government pronounced that the juniors should be separated from the senior, because it's a school of same. So, but however, haven't seen the negative impact. That's why the government is also saying, that statement we made some time ago, please, we are retracting it.
So what she's asking, which I imagine a number of people will be asking right now, is, has it just been nominal, or has it just been the nomenclature of GSS 1 to 3 and SS 1 to 3, or is it something else at play? So what are we going to see now based on this plan? Are we still going to see the existing GSS 1 to 3 and SS 1 to 3, or is it going to have a different nomenclature?
No, that's typically what it is. It is GSS 1 to 3, SS 1 to 6. The government is only saying, let's remove that artificial boundary. That's all. We want to see our children transit from JSS1 in JSS3 to SS1 without any artificial barrier that anybody can lay hand on.
So in this case, in this new proposition, would there still be the
JSS1, JSS2, JSS3, SS1, SS2,
Okay, hold on. I was talking about the examination because you know that the bridge between one and the other is GSSE, GSSCE, and the bridge between the SSC and the tertiary is SSCE.
Yeah.
So are they still going to be in existence?
Oh yes, sure.
Okay,
so in other words, everything remains as is.
Everything, like I said, it is just an artificial boundary. So you know, I was with the minister on Wednesday when he was launching the digitalized system for Nigerian education. So the basic truth, we had a couple of discussions, and he had also said, this man, for me, I do not know any other person, is committed to ensuring that Nigerian education have a shift. And so some of the steps he's taking, I am one of his best critics, so to say. If they take a step that is not going well with me, I will tell them point blank. But this particular step, I feel for me is the right step.
Okay, so I was going to even throw back.
Sorry, let me add this. You know, but however, in every pronouncement, because there are also schools, even private, that have structured themselves to actually align with that previous. But however, I am not seeing difficulty in that because it's only going to help them. Let me tell you this. Within the period we're managing, for some of our resources, teachers who teach junior, we have employed them for only junior. Some who teach senior, we have only employed them for senior. But even when you ask a teacher who has capacity to do both, he will tell you, please let me remain here. But I think removing that thing, this thing will also help us to manage the resources we have. Because getting qualified teachers are
I'm also going to add to the subjects. When I was in school, primary school, secondary school, all the way back then, what we had, we would have some certain subjects we're doing, and then when you get to senior school, there were some certain subjects that you start doing. You have to drop, and you now choose. So what's it going to be like now? Is it going to be like the same set of subjects they will do all from that whole period? Because with the JSS, you have some subjects. When you enter senior secondary school, you can pick up some subjects based on whether you're doing sciences or you're doing arts.
Or commercial.
Or commercial.
See, basically, as we speak today, of course, you know, it's still a policy statement. And why do I say so?
In consideration.
Yes, things are still being done around it. It's a work in progress. But that notwithstanding, nothing. But you recall that about last year, government had thought of doing a different subject delineations on the examination. But it didn't work. Why? Because it will take a whole lot of preparations. So even as we speak now, what you experience is still what we're having. But we are only asking there should be changes in curriculum and contents, and which also is ongoing.
Okay. So also talk to us about the experiences between one bridge, if you like, one portion of that bridge and the other, because I know that the regular practice is kids in GSS3, for instance, get, if you like, academic advice from their, what do they call them? There's a particular counselors, thank you very much, the career counselors or something like that. And then when they transit into SS1, they get more of those on what direction they should take. Like she hinted at earlier. Are we still going to have that? Will there be a retention of those? Oh yes, all of that still exists and will continue to exist because they are fundamental aspects of the teaching and learning system. The basic truth remains that, of course, you don't forget that a child or a counselor judges a child based on the cumulative assessment such a child would have had in JS1, JS2, JS3. It is those results that the professional counselor looks at and say, yes, this person is fit for science and this person is fit for art. So all of that still exists.
Okay.
Now we have what's it called? We have it on paper as just a proposal, as you said. So when it's ratified by the educational what's that?
NCE?
Yes, exactly. And we then move to a seamless 12-year, if you like, plan or pattern. What will then be the arrangement for both teachers, or trainers, if you want to call them that, and institutions across the board. What would be the plan?
Yeah, don't forget, everywhere in the world, a new development calls for a new action. And I've always appealed to the federal government. Funding is an issue. Because if you need to get new teachers, if you need to train new teachers, it would mean that funding for that purpose have to be available. And so it's going to be challenging, but I tell you clearly, it's a path to go, and it's not too far from what we can achieve. And the obvious truth here is that Nigeria needs to do this, because we need to keep track on the number of children that are dropping from school. They don't forget we're already battling with obvious number that do not even have access to education. So, and again, we have another problem of those who have enrolled, but for one thing or the other, become a dropout.
All right.
And we also have a challenge of people who are also in the system, but are not learning properly, which is another issue.
Yes, there's just so much that we can highlight as the problems, but I like the fact that we're looking at new ways to address new measures of education and changing and rejigging the current structure of education in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Guest this morning, Jimano, President Association of Formidable Educators, AFED, and of course, looking at Nigeria's education system, federal government plans scrapping of Jss-Sss model. We'll take a break. When we come back, we have more discussions on the show. Stay with us.